dissipate. I would say even within the last 15 to 20 minutes, it's not as bad as it first was when we first arrived. So it's starting to dissipate, which is good, but there have been a lot of different shelter in places that have been put in just because of that smoke and what people are seeing and even smelling. We can smell that smoke. One thing that you can't see through the TV is what it smells like out here, and we can smell that smoke here right now as well. So we're continuing to stay out here. Workers who we've interacted with who have come to see what was going on. In fact, we were just speaking with one UPS worker. She told us she had gotten off of work not too long ago, went home, and then all of a sudden she started getting all these text messages, all of these phone calls, people checking in on her, asking if she was okay, and luckily she was, but that's how she found out what happened. And she said it's going to be hard to come back to work tomorrow. If they are coming back to work tomorrow, we don't know what this looks like for employees tomorrow either right now. A lot of uncertainty right now, but saying it's just going to be a hard process moving forward. And she was just very speechless. And I feel like we were very speechless too as we're sitting here waiting for more information, wanting to know what's going on. But what we can tell you right now is there's still law enforcement on scene. They're still encouraging people to stay away from the airport if you don't need to be here. We've been seeing a lot of different cars too driving. There's a road right in front of us. It might be hard to see right now because it's dark, but we've been seeing a lot of cars speeding back and forth on the other side of this fence. So still a very active scene. But we'll continue to bring you the latest updates of what we know from what we're seeing here on the scene right now. But what we see so far is that smoke is starting to go down a little bit. Guys, back to you.
Well, that is some good news.
All right, we do have a comment from Governor Andy Beshear. Kentucky, we are aware of a reported plane crash near Louisville International Airport. First responders are on site, and we will share more information as available. Please pray for the pilot's crew and everyone affected. We will share more soon. And that was a comment from Governor Beshear, who is headed to Louisville, Kentucky. We are told Mayor Greenberg talked with him, the governor, over the phone not long ago and said that he is headed to Louisville to come together and gather some information as far as the latest on the investigation. They're hoping to release more information sometime tonight.
Okay. 3 crew members on board UPS Flight 2976 taking off at 5:19, heading south on the runway. We saw one of the engines on fire, ablaze, and then it went off the runway and crashed into the industrial area off of Gray Lane. Now, when we had Mayor Greenberg on, he threw out the 280,000 gallons. What he meant to say was 280,000 pounds. A gallon of jet fuel weighs about 6.7, 6.8 pounds. So if you, an MD-11, which this plane was, will carry 41, 42,000 if it's an extended version, and that would do the math. If you do the math on 6.8, 280,000 pounds of jet fuel on board, because that plane was headed to Honolulu.
An 8.5-hour, 8-hour and 38-minute flight was expected to land there at 10 o'clock Hawaii time. We have talked to a UPS employee. Can we listen into that interview?
I got a phone call from my dad asking me was I okay, and I literally had just walked in the house from work, and he just, all of my family members were just calling me, asking me if I was okay. They told me about it, and I just started calling my employees and stuff, and just make sure they was okay and stuff. And then that's when I came over to, see what was going on. I was told from my group that it was one of our planes. Some are saying it's Spirit. I'm not for sure, but other than that, I'm just a little shaky because I don't know how tomorrow's gonna go. You gotta go to work tomorrow. You gotta think about planes falling out the sky, being in the building, and I don't know. It's a little scary for me.
Very scary for sure. We were in the middle of the newscast, and we were just admiring one of the pictures that Jay had up of a beautiful fall day with the trees. And you can see in the left corner this gigantic plume of smoke, and our newsroom started getting calls, and that was an explosion out at the airport. That was that airplane that was taking off that crashed, loaded down with fuel, headed to Honolulu, crashed into Grade Lane.
And taking off during probably UPS, one of its busiest times of the day, when a lot of UPS planes are taking off. And Chopper Bill mentioned there were UPS planes stacked up on the runway there. We do want to talk about, there is a shelter in place within 5 miles of the Louisville airport. We've mentioned it a few times, but it is still in place indefinitely until officials release that shelter in place. A source is telling us that Ford LAP, the Louisville Assembly Plant, is also on lockdown. The power apparently was knocked out when all of this happened. This is kind of having a ripple effect, not just at the Louisville airport, but surrounding businesses and homes there. Some neighbors were saying that they heard the explosions. That's how loud and horrible that they were.
We saw that video, and it was just looked like a bomb blowing up. And then we saw subsequent explosions in some of those buildings there. One of them was a recycling facility, scrap yard. So they had some stuff that was probably pretty flammable, acetylene torches. A lot of them were disposed of there. So those things, we had one that blew up down on River Road at the recycling plant. It exploded on them, and we felt the boom here at the station. So I would imagine a lot of that set off some of those chain reaction explosions.
And we do want to mention that shelter in place has been extended all the way to the river. So that just keep that in mind if you live within that area of the airport. Shelter in place, close your doors and windows and stay inside, and stay away from this area as well if you do not have to be out anywhere near this. Stay away. Grade Lane for sure, closed indefinitely, and some other surrounding areas, I would imagine, with the amount of first responders that are on the scene there.
Well, let's bring in Jay. Jay, originally it was 5 miles radius around the airport. The wind situation, I guess, is a factor on what that smoke is doing.
Yeah, and the smoke plume, at least on radar, is now dissipating quite a bit, but it's still out there. You can still see it. If we go over to the radar scan, you can see over the past hour or so, it has really come down in size and scope, if you will. I did receive a phone call, though, a text actually from a good friend of mine who's a doctor, and he was saying, hey, you know, if you're kind of in the path of this thing, you might want to shut off the furnace or the air conditioner until it really dissipates so you don't get those fumes, if you will, in the house, because that's a possibility, especially the closer you are to the crash site. But yeah, I was checking weather conditions going back to 5 o'clock, even prior to that, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Guys, we had a southerly breeze, but it was not strong. Winds were light throughout the depth of the atmosphere, and visibility 10 miles or better all day, even through this event as well. So a mechanical issue, who knows, right? Who knows what happened, but a terrible scene, obviously, out there at the International Airport.
Yeah, it was a beautiful evening, for sure. All right, Jay, thank you.
Sure.
Well, the fires continue to burn off of Grade Lane after that plane crash. A UPS plane, Flight 2976, headed to Honolulu with 3 crew members on board. When it was taking off, we've seen the video, one of the engines was on fire, and then it went past the runway and exploded into some of the warehouses and structures that are just off the Louisville International Airport, and then it set off, I'm just guessing, a quarter mile, third of a mile of a row of fire and flames. Once again, 41,000 gallons of jet fuel, doing the math, that's 280,000 pounds of fuel. So that was spread across those structures, and subsequently you see the results, the fire there.
Yeah, if we can show that video again from a passenger on another plane that was able to get video from a cell phone. They saw something was happening here and pulled out their phone, and you're seeing this plane here, the UPS plane. Bear with it here. You're going to see the crash here, right there. And there were several explosions there.
And Chopper Bill told us that he was showing us pictures on that runway. There were several of the signs and markers off of the runway. So something caused, probably that fire explosion, lost that engine, caused the plane to, which was an MD-11, to veer off of the runway, while the engine was on fire, and I'm assuming the pilots, there's no way they could stop that thing
No.
in motion. Jay?
Just received a text from Gus Allen over there at 840 WHAS Radio, our radio partners, and he was saying they're simulcasting us right now, but he wanted to also say that the explosion was right in the vicinity of the petroleum recycling facility, adding to the fire.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that fire was definitely, okay, thanks for that info. We want to check in with DeAndrea Turner now for the latest there from the hospital. DeAndrea, do you know anything? We've been told there's some injuries. Do you know anything about any injuries or casualties?
Right now, we don't know anything about any injuries or casualties. We have had it confirmed that LMPD confirmed to us there were injuries, but I spoke with some of the officials here, and they say they have not received anyone yet. But even though they have not received anyone yet, does not mean they're not prepared, because even just 5 minutes ago, they came over the intercom and they said, please, can I please have your attention, please? Code yellow is in effect. They said it 3 different times to ensure that everyone in this hospital knew that code yellow was in effect. And essentially what that means is their emergency disaster plan is up and ready to go. And if they get any of these victims from this plane crash, that they are ready and they are prepared to take care of them. Again, we do know that there have been multiple injuries reported, but no one has been brought to U of L right now. So they are ready and they are standing by to ensure that they receive the care that they need in order to get. And not only did they say code yellow 5 minutes ago, they even said it about 30 minutes ago. So people inside of this emergency room, they are ready to take care of the people who have been impacted by this plane crash. But right now it's kind of a wait and see game. But again, they're prepared, they're ready, and they're just waiting for people to come here. For now, at U of L, DeAndrea Turner, WLKY News.
All right, thank you, DeAndrea. Once again, there is the scene. This is off of Grade Lane, right out by the airport, just off of the runway. It lines up perfectly with the direction that UPS plane was attempting to take off from. Could not stop in time, had one of the engines that was just roaring with flames. And then it exploded as it hit into one of those warehouses, several industrial businesses along Grade Lane right there.
And I just got a text from a friend who her husband flies for UPS, and she said that her husband was there, left about the same time as that crew did, and she's still waiting, obviously, to check in with her husband. But what a terrible, terrible time for the UPS family. We do want to bring you up to speed from FAA. Again, released a statement, the latest on their investigation. UPS Flight 2976 crashed around 5:15 today here in Louisville, Kentucky. After departing from the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, we talked, this plane was headed to Honolulu, Hawaii. It was about an 8-hour, 38-minute flight. So it was fully gassed up, ready to go for a long flight.
Yeah. 42,000 gallons of fuel. That weighs 280,000 pounds. So a lot of jet fuel that was involved in this initial explosion. Once again, our heart goes out to the 3 crew members of that Flight 2976 today.
Yeah, UPS confirmed there were 3 crew members on that UPS flight. They are not confirming any injuries or casualties. However, LMPD has said that there were some injuries, and we're still waiting to hear the extent of those injuries or if there were any casualties. A lot of details still yet to be released. We do expect to hear from city and state officials here later this evening with the latest on the investigation, which this investigation is going to continue for many more hours and days and probably weeks as they are still, at this hour, fighting to put the fire out from this plane crash.
We talked to Mayor Greenberg. He was out of town, unfortunately, as he's told us, but he has been getting updates, and he's coming back into Louisville, and they plan on having a briefing for us, and we will, of course, cover that for you. We're going to stay on here, folks. Just devastation here in our city today at Louisville International Airport.
Just stay with us here. We do want to show you some debris from WLKY News Chopper. There on the runway, you're looking at debris that was shot just after this plane crash happened. It's kind of hard to see because of the time of the day. The sun was going down, but we're told from Chopper Bill that this is a look at debris from that plane crash that's there on the runway. Again, the airport TSA is temporarily closed at the airport there tonight, and they're telling people if you have a flight tonight or tomorrow, to be sure to stay in touch with your airline to work all of that out and to see when it will reopen. We are still unsure, as this is still a changing scene and a changing investigation, as firefighters and first responders are still working to put that fire out and work the scene.
We will be giving you a clear picture at 7:30. Governor Beshear will be giving us a briefing. Not sure if Mayor Greenberg will be back in time for that one, but Andy Beshear will be giving a briefing at 7:30, and we will bring that to you live here on WLKY and also online. And I understand we're also being simulcast on our WHAS radio as well.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about the businesses around there too. This is a huge scene, and a lot of businesses and homes have been impacted by this. We're told, sources are telling us that the electricity was knocked out when this crash happened. Some businesses are being affected, and the source says the Ford LAP is on lockdown with no power, and I would imagine that other businesses in that area are as well. And this is a good look at one of the buildings near the airport where I would imagine that this plane somehow crashed through that business.
That's the only thing, the only conclusion you can draw. Look at that. It just cut through that like a knife into that structure there. And then you can see the debris field past that. Just a horrible situation that played out in Louisville today.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is nighttime now, and our first responders are working to still work this scene as they do, and they train for this kind of thing. Just a terrible night for the UPS family, for sure.
Well, we've got you covered. We have DeAndrea Turner at the hospital. Jamie Mays is out near Grade Lane. Norman
Elliott.
Seawright is out there, Madison Elliott. So we are in contact with officials trying to gather information. And this is a very fluid scene, so please bear with us. But what we can tell you is that UPS flight was leaving today, 5:19, is flight 2976 with 3 crew members on board. We've shown you video of one of the engines that was on fire as it was speeding down the runway, and then it left ran out of runway and went into that industrial area, and a massive explosion, followed by these minor explosions in these industrial facilities that are right there off of Grade Lane. And the firefighters here in Louisville, who are first class, we have the best fire department in the world, folks. They are working their tails off right now to contain those fires and help rescue anyone that should be trapped inside any of those structures. Look at the massive scene here, the area that's laid out.
And our first responders are having to really deal with this massive scene. We want to check in with Madison Elliott now for a look at what's happening there and the latest update from there. Madison?
Hey, Rick and Jennifer. Yes, so I would say it's quieted down a little bit from where we are standing right now. Again, we're still outside of the airport on one of the service roads that kind of runs parallel to the airport that takes you to, merges with the drop-off line, the road to the airport. We're also right next to a UPS hangar as well, and we've seen some planes like on the runway, not taking off, but kind of navigating the runways. I'm not sure where they're going right now, but the plume of smoke that we saw here, we were saying before that it's kind of started to dissipate a little bit, and I would say it has dissipated even more since we last checked in with you guys. It's dark out right now, so it's really hard for us to kind of see as far as we were able to see before, and it may be kind of hard to see for viewers at home on camera, the plume of smoke anymore. It really has dissipated a lot. We still see a little bit of it lingering in the air, but not as much coming up from the ground as it was before. What I can see, and what's probably very hard for people at home to see right now, is I can kind of see, it still looks like almost, it's like an orangey reddish hue right over the hilltop. I can't tell if it's still flames or not. That's what it kind of looks like from where we're standing right now, but it's hard to see. So there is still activity though going on at that crash site. From what we can see right now, we still see first responders are here, and even more first responders kind of continue to pass us, so more and more people continuing to come through as this all evolves. And as you guys were saying, this plane was headed to Honolulu. And UPS did respond to us. We reached out to them, and it seems that they can't confirm injuries or casualties at this point. So we're still waiting to learn more about that. But what we can say is that it looks like the scene from here maybe is not as bad as it first was with all the smoke. But again, it's very hard. With your airline to find out the latest on what's going on there. But I will say traffic around here has calmed down a little bit. It doesn't look like as many people are now coming through here. Maybe that they had a flight and saw what was going on and it maybe have diverted elsewhere. But we're continuing to follow, and we'll stay here and continue to follow the latest updates. But as far as that smoke we were seeing, it looks like we really don't see as much of it anymore. So hopefully that means first responders are making some progress on getting a lot of those flames out from that what appeared to be an explosion. A lot of people heard that, described that to us. They heard an explosion. Somebody messaged me on Facebook actually saying it was his friend heard an explosion and said it was the loudest explosion he has ever heard in his life. And from videos that viewers have sent us, one on our social media page, on our Facebook page, you can see you can see the incident as it unfolds, and it is hard to watch. So just a warning there, but we're waiting to learn more just about what's going on. But it sounds like we'll have more from officials here later tonight. So we'll continue to bring you latest from what we're seeing here on scene, but we'll send it back to you guys in the studio for now.
All right, Madison Elliott live for us tonight. We do want to talk a little bit about that shelter in place. It has been expanded from 5 miles around the airport all the way to the river. And I got a text from a friend whose husband has a business near the airport, and apparently businesses are receiving a lens alert saying to shelter in place there, which we kind of expected.
Well, Louisville International has had a history of safety. This is the biggest one, and since I guess 1970 was the last really big crash that they had out at the airport. With UPS being there, it's the 3rd largest cargo shipment airport in the United States. So, and Chopper Bill told us the UPS was extremely busy. He saw several planes that were lined up, ready to take off. UPS Flight 2976 crashed today while taking off, or attempting to take off, from Louisville International Airport on its way to Honolulu with 3 crew members on board.
And we do want to listen in now, some sound from air traffic control. Let's listen in.
Frequency standby. Airport is currently booked. 217. Aircraft? There was an accident on departure.
And that was a little bit of air traffic control that happened around the time that this crash happened. We're being told from the FAA that this was around 5:20 this evening when all of this unfolded here at the Louisville airport.
And there you see the aftermath of the initial crash and explosion of that UPS Flight 2976, an MD-11 that was full of fuel, 42,000 gallons of fuel. That turns out to be roughly 280,000 pounds of fuel on board that plane. And once it crashed into those warehouses and other businesses along Grade Lane, you see the results, that massive fire, that massive plume of smoke in the air.
And LMPD just sent out a message saying that there is still a staging area there. We mentioned at Miners Lane Elementary. We do want to check in with Chopper Bill now. Bill, you're a good ways away from that scene.
Yes, we are, and it's incredible. We are actually almost right over the top of GE Appliance Park is what I still call it. I know they might go by something else now, but you can see right down there on the almost the center part of your screen, Scott Ecker running the camera back there in the back. We continue to see these flames, almost like more explosions, and these flames continue to grow. At this point, you would think and hope that the fuel source would start to burn out and this wouldn't be an issue, but that isn't the case right now. That area right there has gotten bigger here in the last half hour or so. What's still very evident from our position well east of the airport is the massive response by public safety, fire and law enforcement to this scene. So again, I'll repeat, the folks that are home that are watching us, please stay away from this area and let the professionals do their job, get these fires out, and hopefully rescue anybody that is in that affected area. Back to you guys.
All right, Chopper Bill, thank you so much. He's been up for us here since all of this happened. Just want to reiterate the FAA statement here. UPS flight 2976 crashed around 5:15 p.m. local time here tonight after departing from Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky. Again, it was headed to Honolulu, Hawaii. This was a UPS plane. We're told with 3 crew members on board. However, UPS has not confirmed any injuries or fatalities.
And I've also heard from someone that was talking to the mechanic of UPS, and usually there is another additional person in the jump seat on one of these flights. So the 3 crew members, we will get the numbers coming up tonight at 7:30. Governor Beshear will be giving a briefing, and we will, of course, bring that to you live as we continue to cover this plane crash, the UPS plane crash at Louisville International Airport.
We're expecting an airport briefing around 8:15 tonight. Mayor Craig Greenberg released a statement that said, Rachel and I are praying for the victims of the UPS plane crash that happened during takeoff at 5:15. We have every emergency agency responding to the scene. There are multiple injuries, and the fire is still burning. And that was just a little bit ago that he posted that. Many road closures in the area. He's reminding people to avoid the scene, avoid that area. We know for sure that Grade Lane is closed indefinitely. So avoid that area if you can. Tonight, tomorrow, be sure to check with your airline. And this is another live look from WLKY News Chopper, a good ways away from the scene as they have closed airspace there to allow for investigators to do their job.
And if you're familiar with the airport, the UPS plane was taking off and heading south on the runway, and that's headed towards the, of course, Grade Lane, Fern Valley Road, et cetera, the Fairdale area out there. So that's the way the plane flight was taking off. It had an engine that was ablaze as we saw it barreling down the runway, and then it crashed, setting off these fires. Jay Cardosi, it was so bad initially at 5:15, it was showing up on radar. In fact, it was probably, you said it was dissipating a little bit, but earlier today it was that pronounced that it was showing up on your radar.
Yeah, exactly right, Rick. As a matter of fact, from 5 to 5:15, the radar, as you can well imagine, was clear as can be. But then right after that, things just went haywire. Let me go back and I'll show you this. I'll put a loop on this for you. If we can take the radar scan, here's the last couple of hours worth, and you can watch this smoke plume. Again, right around 5:14, 5:15 is when my radar started picking this up. And as I zoom in tight, you can see there's the International Airport going even a little bit tighter. Here's Grade Lane right there. Just follow my mouse there, and Crittenden Drive. So it was just in that vicinity. And of course, with the gentle south breezes we had, not strong, there wasn't any wind shear out there or anything like that. Just a gentle south breeze. You can see that plume as it kind of carried itself off to the north and also the northeast. Now, the shelter in place goes from near the airport on up to the Ohio River. So if we just kind of draw a circle around there, you can see the area that it would cover, a pretty good chunk of central on into southern portions of Jefferson County. The smoke plume, yeah, as you can tell on radar, Rick and Jennifer, is starting to dissipate, so some good news there if there is some to report.
Yeah, we know that multiple agencies, first responders, have been on the scene there since shortly after this happened, around 5:15 tonight. And you can still see, yes, the fire is slowly being put out, but it is still a massive scene there tonight near the airport where this UPS plane crashed. It's just unbelievable.
It's just hard to underscore, to put into words what we're looking at there as it plays out right there along Gray Lane, just outside the airport where that UPS plane crashed earlier today. And once again, we keep stressing this, and it sounds like we're repeating, but a lot of people are joining us, by the minute. The plane was loaded with fuel, 42,000 gallons of fuel, which weighs 280,000 pounds. Crashed on takeoff. It was loaded up because it was headed to Honolulu.
Almost a 9-hour flight for that plane, according to the website. It was scheduled to land there in Honolulu, 10 p.m. Honolulu time. 3 crew members on board. We still are unsure of their status. Right now, UPS is not confirming any fatalities or injuries. But again, LMPD, other first responders, and the mayor has confirmed there are some injuries there, and they're asking people to avoid that area. This is video right now, earlier, right after this all happened.
And my concern is also those businesses that are on the ground, because we saw a lot. Within a minute time, we saw 3 substantial explosions after the crash, and then it set all of these structures ablaze out there off of Gray Lane.
And we want to check in with WLKY's Norman Seawright, who is there at the airport admin building. Norman, what can you tell us? Do you have any updates?
Well, Jennifer, what I do know right now is that airport officials and other investigators will be giving us an official update here. They expect that to be around 8:15 p.m. As we've been also notified, Governor Beshear will be speaking at Metro Hall around 7:30, and they do not want to preempt that. So as soon as the governor is done talking, then we will start getting more updates from officials here on this end. But of course, investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what led to this. They're also, of course, we are very, very close to the airport and where this happened. So if you, in this area, when I'm off air, I'm covering my nose and mouth because they are still wanting everyone here to shelter in place, make sure you're not breathing any of this stuff in, because again, you have jet fuel mixed into the air, you have anything else, debris, all this other stuff in the air. So again, please just emphasize safety, emphasize caution, stay home if you can. But again, around 8 o'clock or so, after the governor is done talking, we will start getting more updates from airport officials here at the LRA administrative offices. So, Jennifer, that's what we have right now, and we'll keep you updated as soon as they get started over here.
All right, Norman Seawright live for us tonight from the airport there. Rick, we've just received word that all TARC service has been suspended immediately because of the shelter in place. And we're unsure of when the shelter in place will be lifted, but we do expect to hear from the governor and the mayor around 7:30 tonight. So very soon, in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Initially, it started out with a 5-mile shelter in place around the airport, and then they quickly expanded that to all the way extending north, all the way to the Ohio River. So we're in a shelter in place as we speak.
And we do want to show you this video again from someone who was there and kind of witnessed this UPS plane crash. I mentioned that we thought initially it was from someone who was on a plane. It was actually someone who was part of a ground crew there. They were able to get some video of when all of this happened. If we can show that video from the cell phone video from there on the scene when this UPS plane initially crashed, we were able to get some video and kind of see. Here it is. When it all happened, you can see a fire, and then here in just a few seconds, you're going to see the explosion, which you saw a couple explosions when you and Jay during the 5 o'clock news tonight. And several people on social media were saying they heard and felt the explosion when it all happened.
I'm surprised we didn't feel it here. That is a massive explosion, and then that plume of smoke just took over everything, and then the subsequent explosions that happened as a result of all that fuel that was on board that MD-11 UPS plane.
3 crew members, 3 UPS crew members were on board. We're unsure of their status right now, but we do know, we're told, Mayor Greenberg said there were some injuries associated with this crash. But this crash scene, this site, you can see it right here, is massive. It is a very long crash scene.
And right now, the airport is shut down, folks, so anybody who had a flight out tonight, you're out of luck. Jamie Mays is at the Louisville International Airport for us. Jamie?
Jennifer, Rick, as you mentioned, I'm here at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, and the way I can describe the scene, the atmosphere in here is just kind of the complete opposite of what's happening outside. Calmness. Inside, a lot of people are in here. They're waiting for flights that have been delayed or canceled. Things like you mentioned are pretty much shut down inside. If you can take a look behind me here, you can see the departure and arrival board here. Several canceled flights up here, canceled all throughout these boards, some on time, but of course several just throughout, swipe through canceled flights. You can see that there are several people out here just kind of just waiting, sitting, waiting for their flights, or just kind of waiting for a chance to figure out what's next with their upcoming flights. But for the most part, it's just pretty calm in here. People are just kind of going back and forth, having seats, speaking with the attendants, trying to figure out what's next for their flights. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Jamie down in the baggage area, it appeared there.
And Congressman Morgan McGarvey just released a statement. It said that he has spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board, and he will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get the answers that we're all trying to figure out now how this tragedy occurred.
And once again, Governor Andy Beshear will be giving us a briefing coming up at the schedule for 7:30. That might be delayed if he's trying to get some more information to us. But this is the scene out at Louisville International Airport off of Grade Lane after that plane crash with 3 crew members on board, and then that set off the fires out off of Grade Lane and all those industrial businesses. And I keep mentioning the recycling center was their metalworks facility and the like.
And we're going to give you a live look now from the briefing room. We are waiting to hear from Governor Beshear and the mayor, who hopefully will provide some updates and some more details as to what happened here at the Louisville International Airport when a UPS plane crashed around 5:15 tonight, shortly after taking off.
And it's affecting everybody out on the streets, shelter in place. And because of that, TARC has suspended service for the evening. So if you're expecting to get a ride out to TARC or a ride home from the malls, sorry.
And that, you mentioned it, but it has a lot to do with that shelter in place. Everybody needs to stay safe all the way to the river. If you live anywhere in that area around the airport, just stay inside, windows and doors closed, and just sit with us. We're going to get you through this. We're going to give you details as we get them. Right here on WLKY, and of course, as always, on WLKY.com and our mobile app. We're updating all of that for you as soon as we get the details. And this is really just a horrific situation that unfolded here in Louisville, Kentucky earlier today. UPS is a major employer here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Has been for a very long time.
And that just, it strikes everybody because, you probably know a UPS pilot or an employee. But here is the situation. We'll lay it out for you. The UPS plane, flight 2976, headed to Honolulu, crashed shortly. Did not get to take off. 3 crew members on board. They were headed to Honolulu. So that plane was loaded with fuel. 42,000 gallons of fuel. That weight of that is 280,000 pounds is what it figures out to. This was an MD-11 plane. We're assuming it was extended if it had that much fuel on board. Injuries confirmed, and we're getting another lens alert.
Yeah, and we do
Modern technology.
We want to let you know that Jeffersonville's mayor is asking people now to shelter in place. So this is essentially expanding beyond the river there as they continue to investigate this plane crash. Again, Jeffersonville's mayor asking people to shelter in place. Again, we are continuing to follow this UPS plane crash. UPS confirms 3 crew members were on board. They were leaving the Louisville airport, headed to Honolulu. Hawaii. Injuries are confirmed, but we do not have any specifics on who was injured and how bad. We do not have any specifics on casualties. The governor, again, will give an update in just a few minutes at 7:30. Stay with us. We expect to hear from the governor and Louisville's mayor there. And then again at 8:15, the airport is going to have a briefing. So tonight we're going to hopefully get some more details as to exactly what happened.
All right. That shelter in place has been revised. Let's go over to Jay, who has a map to show us exactly what the area is now.
Yeah, there it is. It's basically from the outer loop and points northward all the way to the Ohio River. South of the outer loop, and that area has been discontinued from the shelter in place, but it certainly continues again from the outer loop and points off to the north to near the Ohio River. And you can see that's a massive area of such a populated zone right here in downtown Louisville. The good news, the smoke plume that was visible, I mean, miles and miles and miles, and being picked up on radar clear as day. It looked like a huge thunderstorm fired up right on top of the city. That has dissipated. That all drifted off to the north. You know, I was checking all the weather conditions going back prior to this accident. This afternoon on into the early evening, we had gentle south breezes, no wind shear at all. Visibility was terrific, over 10 miles all directions. So again, weather likely not a factor with this, you know, horrific event. And again, earlier you could see the fireball as it was developing on the left engine, on the cowling of the left engine, and then soon after that, it exploded into a massive fireball. Now, again, as Rick and Jennifer have been talking about, this plane, the MD-11, loaded with over 40,000 pounds of, I should say 40,000 gallons of jet fuel. That combined with the fact that the crash took place near the petroleum recycling plant likely led to that huge, massive fire.
It would have been like an atomic bomb.
Soon after that crash.
All right, thank you, Jay. Yeah, it just spread. I'm just estimating, quarter mile,
It is
third of a
massive.
mile. It is a long stretch of fires that are burning on Grade Lane, right off the Louisville International
There's a
Airport.
building
We
that
just
they
want to recap
show
for you, the Louisville Airport
that it
remains
spliced
closed
through the building
after
with one of the
UPS
wings.
2976 crashed moments after takeoff.
3
around
pilots
5:15
unalive,
p.m.
but they
We
haven't
know
talked
that
about
3
if
people
anybody
were
on the
board
ground
that
was
plane,
injured
3
yet.
crew members. There is a very large shelter
Ivy,
in
can you
place
hear
that is
me
just
okay?
extended now to Jeffersonville. Jeffersonville's mayor's asking people to shelter in place. The mayor has said there is multiple injuries in the fire, as you can see here, still burning. We do want to check in with Madison Elliott now for the latest from her location there. She's outside the airport. Madison?
Hey, Jennifer. So about the same as when we last checked
Can
in with
anybody
you
hear
guys.
me?
One thing we've been keeping an eye on is the smoke, which we've been saying has kind of been dissipating from what we can see, but again, it's dark, so it might still be a little bit more than what we can see right now. But what I am noticing right now is the smell of the smoke. We didn't actually notice it as much, even though we're pretty close to the site when we first got here, but now as the wind is shifting a little
Nah,
bit,
she
we
should
are
have a mask
smelling
on or
that
something.
fire, and it is a very strong smell, and the smoke is one of the reasons there's so many different shelter in places right now throughout the metro, and that shelter in place, it continually is being
Could someone
revised.
hear
It
me?
keeps getting updated. Of course, you'll get that notification on your phone and that lens alert, and it will make that loud beeping noise, and that's how you know that you're going to get some more information about another shelter in place. So just keep your phone handy to listen as the shelter in place continues to be revised. It's been revised a few times now throughout the evening. It keeps expanding its area because of the smoke. And visibility, it is impacting visibility. Even the Coast Guard was saying that it's impacting their visibility as well along the Ohio River. So,
Ivy, can you hear
we are
me?
seeing a lot of impact from this crash. And as I was saying earlier, our
not nice.
station is about 10 miles away from the
There it
airport,
is.
and we were seeing that smoke even 10 miles away, but it could probably be seen even further than that. But because of all of these issues and because
Thank you, Bobby.
of these shelter in places that are happening right now, TARC says effective immediately. They put out a release not too long ago saying due to the shelter in places, all TARC services have been suspended for the remainder of the evening. And right now they are working with current passengers with destinations outside of the shelter in place to get them to their destinations. All pickups for later this evening have been suspended. So this is impacting everybody in the metro, not just here around the airport, but everybody is feeling the impact from this. Now, we know it is dark out, so it might be a little hard to see, but we're going to try to zoom in for you to show you what we're seeing, see if we can kind of give you a better view. There is a big fence.
No, after this crash, I would have left the airport.
Where this all happened.
I would have left the airport. I wouldn't even thought
We have
about
seen
flying.
some movement of planes moving around on the runways, but we do know that all flights right now, they are not going off, even TSA inside. The screenings are temporarily suspended. We still see, though, a hue of orange and red just a little bit over a hill where we are. Kind of hard to see exactly what it is, but it still looks like there could possibly be some flames over there. Again, hard to see right now what we're seeing, but we're going to send it back to you guys as we continue to monitor the situation here at the airport.
All right, Madison, thank you so much. We do want to let you know that DeAndrea Turner's at University Hospital, and she says that hospital officials have confirmed they have received patients, and they should be able to provide a number in the next hour. We've been talking about some injuries. We do want to check in with Congressman McGarvey. Thanks for joining us tonight, Congressman. Have you had a chance to talk with any officials about what's unfolded here in Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tragic right now. I've obviously talked to the governor, the mayor, reached out to the fire chief, the police chief, and all of our incredible first responders.
It would have only been a miracle if nobody on the ground got hurt, but now the hospital's receiving people.
Here in the House of Representatives, and I recently just got off the phone with the NTSB chair, talking to them about what they're doing and how they're mobilizing to make sure we get answers in Louisville.
About fatalities here, Congressman.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that question, Rick.
Fatalities, what injuries, fatalities, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and right now, nothing definitive. And one of the things I would stress, I mean, I know this is scary. I've been getting pictures from my friends of ash falling in neighborhoods all over Louisville. My family's sheltered in place right now. We don't have a lot of answers, even in talking to the NTSB chair. I mean, it's important to stress, we don't know the details. We don't know what happened yet. Those investigations are coming. I think it is, though, it's as Louisvillians, as Kentuckians, everyone is working together. This is state, local, federal. Everyone is coming together. I'm seeing people from, from some of the workers who are over in that area to business owners to people who will come together. But we're waiting for those answers and really focused, I think, right now on the recovery and the heroism of the first responders.
Well, Congressman, we're not just dealing with that plane crash, but the fires that are burning. That's just a massive stretch of Grade Lane down there. No telling how many people in those businesses were involved or injured or just going about their day, and this horrific accident happened around 5:15.
No, it's awful. I talked to one of the business owners, and thank goodness none of his employees were impacted, even though the business has really been impacted by the crash. But we're still waiting on those numbers, and of course are doing everything we can to find out those answers as soon as possible for everybody, and again, focused on these types of recovery efforts.
Congressman, the Louisville airport has been pretty much, accident-free. I think 2005 there was a UPS.
Man, I gotta say this. Shout out to Chill Will, who delivers plane fuel. May God keep you safe, man, always. It's amazing. Mac Mean was talking about plane fuel the other day, how it burns different, how it takes more to ignite it, how much planes hold, and the numbers were crazy, both wings, sometimes under the belly. It depends where the plane is going. And this plane had 41,000 gallons on its way to Hawaii.
Mentioned that you talked to the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board. Can you tell us a little bit more about your conversation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they are already mobilized, and they are getting their teams together right now. They don't waste any time in that sort of thing. But I do think it's important. I know there's videos out there. I know that people are seeing things. We don't know what happened, and that is why we have the NTSB. It's why we have the experts.
You said you talked to someone, a business owner there. We've been trying to lay out, like a scrapyard metal industrial facility. I don't want to give a name of the building, but the business person, what kind of type of operation are we talking about? What kind of structures are burning there now?
Yeah, and the guy I've talked with definitely does have a scrap and salvage yard over there. That is his business. So I don't know about the extent of the damage to the business.
Check test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Check test 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing.
Before Governor Andy Beshear will be giving us an update or a briefing on what he knows, and I'm sure he'll be able to address any injuries, fatalities, what we're talking about. But there were 3 crew members from UPS on board Flight 2976 today when it attempted to take off.
And University Hospital has confirmed some injuries. They are treating some patients. We're not sure the number of patients yet. We do have a reporter there at the hospital, and hopefully we'll get an update from her very soon. But again, we're waiting just a couple more minutes for the governor and mayor, a briefing there with them. Hopefully we'll provide some more details about what happened when this UPS plane crashed. We're also expecting an airport briefing at around 8:15 tonight with some more details. We know a lot of flights have been, and this is something that's not just going to affect the Louisville airport. This is, as we know, with anything with aviation, it's a ripple effect as far as flights being canceled and kind of that down.
Around 5:15
showed us the shelter-in-place has been
p.m., there's a lot of people probably getting out of work, walking in the parking lot for their cars. Maybe there's a different shift starting.
Because of that, TARC is not
God
operating
bless them
tonight.
all.
Of course, Jamie Mays showed us out at the airport all the flights that have been canceled or delayed for folks that were trying to get out of Louisville or fly into Louisville tonight.
As we are heading into 7:30 and expecting to hear from the mayor and governor, just want to update you, UPS plane crashed around 5:15 here in Louisville, Kentucky. Shortly after takeoff, UPS has confirmed 3 crew members were on board. Given any specifics on those injuries.
Hopefully the governor will be able to shed some light on that. We keep talking about the fuel, 41,000 gallons of fuel on board. So it was full because it had, as you mentioned, a long flight ahead of them, headed to Honolulu. And when it hit the structure at the end of the runway, it just exploded like a bomb went off. And that set off a series of additional explosions and fires along Grade Lane.
And we want to give you a look at the mayor's gallery. We are waiting to hear from the governor and the mayor on a press briefing here to give us the latest on this investigation. We do know that the NTSB is leading this investigation now, as they always do, when it involves some sort of airline crash. This all, again, happened around 5:15, 5:20 as we were on the air, and we were able to see some of the explosions that were happening. Jay was actually able to kind of pinpoint the exact moment that it all happened. Jay Cardosi, do you have that radar up where you can show us?
I can certainly take you back
smoke?
to it. Absolutely. If you come to the radar, guys, first of all, there's the shelter in place right there, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the radar, and I'm going to show you what happened here exactly, okay? And you can see, as we zoom in tight, there's the International Airport, and there's Grade Lane right here, the outer, or I should say Crittenden Drive, excuse me. That was the site of the plane crash, and you can see that right around 5:14 to 5:15 on the radars when the plume showed up like a thunderstorm, just it fired up on top of downtown and central Jefferson County. And you can see that smoke plume being carried off to the north, slightly east of north throughout the course of the early evening hours. Now it has completely dissipated. But yeah, I was talking to my wife. She was saying that she could smell a little bit of jet fuel in the air, and that's in the northeastern portion of the county, close to Prospect and the Glen Oaks subdivision. So yeah, for good reason, that shelter in place is in effect. Even though that plume has dissipated, still a lot of questions that need to be answered as far as what's going on out there at this time. And now we're getting to that time of the event where details are coming in pretty slow. So hopefully, you know, the governor can shed some more light for us as to what's going on and going forward as well through the evening.
All right, thank you, Jay. Boy, those pictures, as that fire continues to burn, our news chopper was closer to the scene earlier, and then the air traffic controllers kicked them back out. But Chopper Bill was like, I don't understand why, because there's no flights going in and out of the airport right now. But you can see from a distance, he says he's got to stay about 4 miles away as best he can zoom in. And if you get in closer to that, you can see that fire to the left of your screen is really pretty big.
Well, and you know, this plane was filled with fuel on takeoff there, so this is a massive scene there. We are waiting for a 7:30 press conference with Governor Beshear and Mayor Craig Greenberg, expecting to give us an update here on the latest on this investigation, which the National Transportation Safety Board is leading. Then we expect to hear from airport officials and possibly the NTSB around 8:15 tonight, which we're going to provide all of that information for you here live as it happens.
Okay, and LMPD just put out that their facility on Taylor Boulevard is acting as a victim reunification site. So if you had anybody that was involved in this was LMPD on Taylor Boulevard is acting as a victim getting everyone back together, family members, and helping them out and such. That's on Taylor Boulevard. Victim reunification.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who work for UPS or around UPS. Again, this is the mayor's gallery there. We're waiting for Governor Beshear, mayor, and some other officials who are going to give us an update on this plane crash that happened earlier this evening. This is the mayor's gallery there.
There have been a lot of pictures. I've seen a lot of ground pictures of the flight taking off. We can show that one more time of what we have. Someone that was on one of the
ground crew. Yeah, ground crew.
As this plane was attempting to take off, I guess they noticed that fireball coming out of one of its engines as it roared down the runway. Chopper Bill told us that he saw signs that the plane actually went off of the runway and took out some of its signage. So I'm assuming anybody that was, here it is, anybody in that area would have been alerted and grabbed the phones and started taking these pictures. The plane on fire at this point, one of the engines, and then keeps going, and all of a sudden there's the big explosion. All of that fuel on board, 42,000 gallons of jet fuel on board that UPS plane.
And we just got a 1-minute alert that the mayor and governor will be giving us an update here in just about a minute. Chopper Bill was also able to get some video of one of the runways there where there were multiple debris. It was a debris field over one runway there. Again, a UPS plane crashed here earlier today.
With 3 crew members on board and no telling what the injuries were to those that are on the ground and those business that were working. You heard Congressman McGarvey say that he had talked to one of the guys that owned a scrapyard there that said thankfully none of his employees were on the grounds when those explosions started occurring. Once again, we're waiting for that briefing that's coming up now in about 20 seconds. This was flight 2976, a UPS flight with 3 crew members on board, crashed upon takeoff, attempting to take off today from Louisville International Airport.
And there's still a shelter in place in order to the river there, and also Mayor of Jeffersonville included Jeffersonville as part of that shelter in place. So just stay inside if you live near the airport there. Stay inside, doors and windows shut until they lift that. And we're unsure of when that's going to be, but we expect to get an update here in the next few seconds.
I think we've
hopefully.
covered our 1 minute. Let's check back in and see if they're.
Okay, I will.
We should be getting underway.
Janine, where are you?
Mayor's Gallery right there.
Janine, are you in here?
Andy Bashir and Mayor Craig Greenberg will be giving us an update on the situation that played out. So it should be momentarily. We've gone over their 1 minute warning.
Well, we talked to the mayor over the phone shortly after this happened, and he had quickly talked to the governor about all of that. And even at that moment, he didn't have a lot of details. So there's been some time. This happened about 5:15, 5:20. So there has been some time for them to gather details, and that's probably what they're doing right now, is gathering details, talking to officials. And this is still a very active scene at the airport there. As you can see, fires still burning on that massive debris field.
Well, and one of the other problems, remember the Givaudan plant, that was at least contained here on Payne Street. This not only the crash site of the plane, but third of a mile, quarter of a mile of fires that are burning. So
Multiple buildings.
It's just such a coverage area that they got to be able to get to everybody and get the information and to see what is going on and get a head count of the number of employees that were on site.
And we had some video of a building that was affected too, that looked like maybe a wing or the nose of
Something
the plane
went
through.
right through it, just cut right through that.
We want to check in with Jay real quick while we're waiting for this press conference with the governor and the mayor with the shelter in
Yeah,
place.
watch this
Guys,
building.
thank you so very much. So here's the very latest on that shelter in place from the outer loop and points north to the Ohio River and also the Jeffersonville area. If you reside in that colored in circle there, we want you to just stay inside, hunker down, and be sure and shut off the air conditioning and also the heating as well. You don't want to let any of that air that's on the outside into your house. This is from the health department. And actually, we told you about this about an hour and a half ago. Got a call from a very good friend of mine, Dr. Henry Sadlow, who wanted me to pass that on to you folks as well. So again, in that shelter in place, the outer loop and points north to the Ohio River, please shut off your air conditioning and also your heating. Shut the windows, as Jennifer alluded to, until this thing is lifted. Again, the smoke plume has pretty much all but dissipated. Don't see it at all on the radar scan anymore. But boy, guys, some of the pictures and videos coming in from our viewers. Thank you very much to everybody out there for sending in your information. Pretty amazing, just jaw-dropping, the videos, the fireballs from various angles, and also the smoke plume that can be seen from miles and miles and miles. Guys, let's send it back to you.
Hey, we do want to just mention again, LMPD is opening up its training academy for victim reunification, their victim services unit. We want to go live now to the mayor there. And
I'll be right back in 1 minute.
Good. Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight, you're going to hear from myself, Julie Carr with the mayor's office, Jody, the director of emergency management for Louisville, your police chief, fire chief O'Neill. You're going to hear from your state senator, Katura Herron, Representative Lisa Wilner, councilwoman, is also going to join us. We also have representatives from Congressman Morgan McGarvey's office, Senator Paul's office. You have Chief Grimes from Louisville Airport Police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, MSD, KSP, Kentucky Emergency Management, Kentucky Homeland Security, and a number of others, because this is an all-hands-on-deck response, and everyone's contributions are appreciated and will be recognized. At approximately 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, UPS Flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in a catastrophic crash here in Louisville adjacent to our airport. UPS will be releasing more facts as available. The National Transportation Safety Board will be in charge of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it. Other agencies involved that are at the scene or available: the Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, the Louisville Fire Department, the Lexington Fire Department, the Bardstown Fire Department, the Shepherdsville Fire Department, Louisville Emergency Management, the Fern Creek Fire Department, Pleasure Ridge Park Fire Department, Fairdale Fire Department, Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, Jeffersontown Fire Department, Airport Police Department, Louisville Metro Police, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, St. Matthews Police Department, Shively Police Department, KSP, Louisville Metro EMS, MSD, Louisville Gas and Electric, Kentucky Emergency Management. Again, we have virtually every single fire, police, and emergency response group that is responding right now to what you're seeing. At this time, we've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow. Right now, we believe we have at least 3 fatalities. So I believe that number is going to get larger. We have at least 11 injuries, some of them very significant, that are being treated by local hospitals. Again, I think that number will get larger. There is a victim family reunification center being set up at the Louisville Metro Police Training Academy. That is 2911 Taylor Boulevard. Victim services personnel will be on site and on location for anyone who needs information. The United Way is also offering shelter to anybody that's been impacted. You can call them at 502-376-6617. Updates on the operation of the Louisville International Airport will be shared after we're completed here around 8:15 via press conference with Louisville Emergency Management. Right now, we believe that the main area hit consisted of 2 businesses, though we know there were more businesses impacted. The first is Kentucky Petroleum Recycling. We are seeking more information, but it looks like they were hit pretty directly. The second is Grade A Auto Parts. Grade A has been in contact. They've accounted for all of their employees but 2, but they do not know how many other individuals, customers, or others could have been on site at the time. Because of the nature of these facilities, it may be some time before we can account for everyone or know that no one else was on the grounds. They're going to provide us with descriptions of the 2 missing employees soon. Again, there's no direct adjusted. It is now anything north of the airport to the Ohio River. That includes, without limitation, South Louisville, Old Louisville, and downtown. LG&E had some equipment that has been damaged, but they're reporting no major outages at the time. They may, for safety purposes, have to have some outages. Please understand that if that's done, that's to protect you and the people working on it. I've been in direct contact with the CEO of Ford Motor Company. I can tell you that the Ford plant there was not hit, though it has lost power or did lose power for a period of time, but with the number of employees working there, that's a blessing. I've also been in touch with the head of security for the convention center, and everyone is sheltering in place that is there. They have stopped people coming in for the upcoming events for people's safety, and I know they'll be sending out additional information. Anybody who has seen the images and the video know how violent this crash is. And there are a lot of families that are going to be waiting and wondering for a period of time. We're going to try to get them that information as fast as we can, but if this is a family you know. Please give them your support. Please give them your prayers. Please give them your love and be with them, because the toughest moments, and I can say it from personal experience, are when you're wondering whether that person that you know and you care about has survived something like this. We do not, at the moment, have the status of the crew.
That's a huge
Watching that video, I
area.
think we're all very,
That is a
very
huge
worried about
area.
them. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Carr with the mayor's office. Let me say I've talked to the mayor 6 times since this has happened. He was out of town, which was completely scheduled. He is moving heaven and earth to be back, and he will be back. And from somebody who has been out of town when some of these things happened, let me tell you, he is completely and fully on top of it, in communication, and his crew behind me is responding as well as I've seen any group do. And trust me, I've sadly seen a lot of disasters, whether like this or through weather. So I'll turn it over to Julie Carr.
I'm Deputy Mayor Julie Carr. First and foremost, Mayor Greenberg has been in constant contact with those on the ground, emergency operations, Governor Beshear, and our federal partners. And he would like me to express that he and Rachel have the victims of today's crash in their hearts and prayers. He is asking the entire city of Louisville to join them in praying for the victims, their families, and our first responders, who bravely rushed to the scene to save people and are still actively working to put the fire out. Our hearts are with those affected by this tragic incident. The mayor's office is working closely with first responders, federal authorities, and emergency management teams to respond and secure the area. The mayor is traveling and is expected to be back in Louisville before 9 p.m. He will be here to update our city as more information becomes available. I'm now going to ask Jody Myman, Executive Director of Emergency Services, to give more of an update.
All right, we're going to hear from Jody in a second. I also have a statement from Representative Morgan McGarvey, who is in Washington, D.C. He says, tonight our community was rocked by a devastating plane crash at the Louisville airport. Representative McGarvey says, my heart breaks for the pilots, crew, and their families, and he's praying for everyone impacted. He's grateful for the bravery of our first
Look at that
responders as they
area.
continue their work throughout the night to respond quickly and heroically to this horrific incident. We still do not have complete details on how this
That is
tragedy occurred,
huge.
but I've spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board and will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get answers and do what we can to help all those affected. And I know your emergency management director is going to say the same thing, but the thing I left out is do not go to the crash site. You will put people in danger. You will put yourself in danger. There may be people that still need to be rescued. Do not be the reason that the first responders cannot get to them. There are still dangerous things that are flammable, that are potentially explosive at the site. Chief O'Neill was filling me in on that. All of his people and everybody else there are currently safe, but they are trained. The general public is not. So do not go to the site. Director?
Thank you, Governor. So we provided and are assisting currently with on-scene coordination between all the agencies. And initially, obviously everybody can see how big this site actually is. You're not only dealing with the aircraft itself, but you're dealing with several businesses that were affected. Some of those businesses have some issues and some hazards on them that we have to address as well. So establishing that incident management team and that initial unified command between all the agencies that you see standing behind me, as well as the ones that are on site. The Okolona Fire Department was the initial local fire department that was dispatched, and then the city of Louisville was dispatched very recently after that, after multiple calls started coming into our 911 center. But there's 3 phases of this response. It's life safety, it's incident stabilization, and it's property conservation. And we're still in the life safety step in that process. And what I mean by that is we're still going door to door in the area to make sure that every business, every facility, and there's a couple private residences, everybody's accounted for and everybody has evacuated that immediate area. Our shelter in place, we initially did that at a 5-mile radius because the wind was doing some things and pushing the smoke in different areas. And as hot as the fire was,
it was kind of creating its own atmosphere and doing really what it wanted to do. So we're working to narrow that. You heard the governor already say that we've narrowed it a little bit, and we hope in the next couple of hours to narrow that as a little bit more. We started to provide initial air monitoring, very close and immediate on site. We continue that air monitoring now. We've got the 41st CST that's on site that's providing that, and they're also providing us some plume modeling that will give us the opportunity, again, a little bit later in the shortcoming to be able to narrow that as well. Like the governor said, stay away from the area. You know, there's a lot of emergency response agencies there, not only from Jefferson County, but our surrounding counties. I can't thank the response enough. You know, but again, we're still in that life safety phase. Instant stabilization, they're doing that at the same time. Like I said, it's a very large area that's been affected by this, and they have to narrow that down and start to go into that area to make sure that they can identify all the future hazards that can present themselves during this emergency. The area that we've got isolated as far as traffic has been done by Louisville Metro Police and our sheriff's office. Again, so, you know, take a look at those, and please stay out of that. Please stay out of that area so it helps with our life safety and our incident stabilization. We'll continue this as long as we can. They have been able to make some headway on the fire to start to get in there. There were several explosions initially from the site itself, just by some of the hazards that were created by the facilities that it impacted. Like I said, we'll be on site. We'll provide more information as we get it through the night. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Humphrey, Chief of Police, Louisville Metro Police. I will reiterate what the governor and Director Myman said. Please avoid the area and allow first responders to do the work to rescue, recover, and stabilize that scene. I will also say that in the meantime, before we can have a more formal update, please direct all of your attention to the social media of Louisville Emergency Management for any real-time updates. We will have a Family Reunification Center set up at the Louisville Metro Police Academy at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. There we'll have our Victim Services Unit that will be able to help any families get in contact with anyone they need. Again, please stay away from the area. Allow those first responders to do their job to make sure that that scene is as safe as possible. This will be an ongoing active scene for the next several days. We don't know how long it's going to take to render that scene safe for the investigation to take place. The NTSB will be the lead in the investigation, so as of right now, we will not be able to answer any questions related to the cause of this crash until the NTSB is able to give us more information. And with that, I will turn it over to the Senator.
Good evening, Chief Brian O'Neill, Louisville Fire Department. I want to reiterate, this happened in Okolona, and so I want to make sure we give credit to the fact that the Okolona Fire Department first on the scene, took command of the scene, and so we are there in support to help them and we've got units from the rest of the Jefferson County Fire Departments there, as well as surrounding counties. Obviously, the Airport Fire Department is a huge factor in this as well. We've also received assistance from some of the industry around here that has firefighting foam. That is absolutely necessary. As you heard, this was a UPS plane that was taking off, getting ready to go all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii. So we're talking about over 250,000 gallons of jet fuel that was on that plane. So we're talking about a very, very dangerous situation. The area that's affected on Grade Lane at Melton, and it's about a city block wide. You've got fuel recycling storage and some bulk fuel storage that's right there. You also have the auto parts area. There's a lot of issues that are going on with being able to surround and try to contain this fire. When I left the scene about 40 minutes ago, crews there were doing an amazing job. Again, all credit to the firefighters on the scene. They are doing incredible work, and they are containing this fire. Basically, you have to surround it. Where I was with some of our crews was on the north and west side, and you've got Okolona and other people that were leading the charge on that south side to try to just bring it in and bring it in and bring it in. But as I said, we're dealing with not only the initial fuel spill, but all the additional that was on site there. So it's going to be a little while. I've got to reiterate, I know you're going to be tired of hearing this, but you're going to keep hearing it. Try to be patient. Listen to emergency management for any updates. I know you might be eager to try to call to try to find out what's going on. I promise you, people are busy, people are working, they're doing everything they can to keep you safe. I want to address really quick the rest of the city. We have called in one of our off shifts. We have 3 different platoons of firefighters, so we've got off shift firefighters to staff to back up. So rest assured, the entire city is still protected and still covered with plenty of fire safety, even though we have so many units that are down there south of the airport. So if there's any need for any other emergencies, you are covered, you are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. I am State Senator Keturah Herron, and I represent the 35th Senate District. And on behalf of the Kentucky Senate General Assembly, I want to acknowledge how jarring it is for the residents of Louisville and the surrounding areas to watch this tragedy hit so close to home, to happen in a place where many of us frequent on a regular basis, that many of us watch our family members and loved ones pass through on a regular basis. And to have to process this information and to know that there's been loss of lives, it's very hurtful. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the families that we know have been impacted, to the surrounding neighborhoods and communities. And I just want to urge our residents, as it's already been said, to be patient, to stay away from the scene, and to come together at this time of this tragedy. And I want to, again, thank the first responders, the ones that are still there on the scene, and we will make sure that we keep you all updated with additional information. And I will turn it over to Representative Lisa Wilner.
State Representative Lisa Wilner, representing House District 35, which goes all around the airport. This is a sad and heavy occasion. I am filled with gratitude and respect for the work of our first responders, for their courage, for their training, for their teamwork, for their bringing so many different units together on such short notice. I'm grateful to our governor for getting here so fast from Frankfurt. I just, my heart is with the families, all the community members who work for UPS, the folks who work at the airport and are there every day and are already under so much strain because of the government shutdown. This is a time for us as a community to come together. Once again, I am so proud to be a Louisvillian. We are a city of compassion. We are a city of love. I just want to ask that we keep one another in our prayers and our thoughts, that we extend kindness at every opportunity, and that we really use this opportunity to look out for our neighbors and to take care of ourselves and one another.
Okay, my name is Betsy Rui, and I represent Metro Council District 21, and the airport is in the heart of my district. And first, I would like to thank all the leadership of the first responders behind us and all the first responders out there in the field. This is what you all train for. I'm sad that we have to actually use all your training, but I'm glad that you have it. And my heart goes out to everybody at UPS, because this is a UPS town. My cousin's a UPS pilot. My aide's tennis partner is a UPS pilot. The intern in my office works overnight at UPS to pay for college. We all know somebody who works at UPS, and they're all texting their friends, their family, trying to make sure everyone is safe. Sadly, some of those texts are probably going to go unanswered. My heart goes out to those families and those friends. And thank you.
I want to acknowledge we also have our FBI special agent in charge with us today. Are grateful for her participation. With that, I'll open it up to questions, but a couple of things. I'm not going to speculate about the cause. That's for the NTSB to determine, and do not want to interfere in that in any way. And the other thing I'd say is we'll get more information on the numbers of fatalities. We'll get more information on the number of injuries. Know that information is fluid. I would tell you, after the tornado in Mayfield, I was standing outside of a factory where I was sure 100 people were dead. And we ended up only losing 13, and that's a lot of people. But pray. It works. It helps. Let's pray that the number of Kentuckians or any other folks that we lost stays as low as possible. With that, if you have questions, I'll do my best. I don't believe, yeah.
So we do not know of anybody that are trapped, but the units on scene, as I said, we're trying to surround and contain that. As we move in, we are searching every building, every area. And like Director Myman mentioned, all the buildings that are outside of that immediate hazard zone are being searched as well to make sure that those are clear and safe.
If you see the live images that thankfully emergency management can get, you see these heroic firefighters moving from building to building to building as fast as they can, because if somebody's trapped, they're going to get to them. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's from the airport, basically from the airport or right around the outer loop area north. If you live in Jefferson County and you're in that, I know that's a circle that's on the screen up there behind you guys, but you know, we're thinking anybody north of that, we hope to be able to narrow that down as accurate plume modeling is taking place, and it should be done now. So we may be able to reduce that even more, that footprint even more here just in the next couple of hours. Right now, that's it. The smoke, for the most part, is going up into the atmosphere and going north. We've also been in touch with our partners from Clark County, Indiana, because some of the smoke is going towards them as well. So they're making decisions. So if you live on the other side of the river, please make sure that you're paying attention. If there is any notifications that are going out over there, make sure you're paying attention to those as well.
And there's a lot of numbers we're getting from the fire chief. I think he said 220,000 gallons. It's 220,000 pounds, which is about 38,000 gallons. So he remembered those numbers a lot better than I would without them written down. All right, anybody else? Yeah. We have not received information we can confirm on their status. From the videos that I've seen, I'm very concerned for them. But again, I'm still praying. Because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon, and we'll also want to make sure before we confirm anyone specific is deceased that we've talked to their family, who deserve to hear that information first. Yeah, we'll get that information out. Depending on how much news there is, we may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners, knowing that this is information that people want and need, and please direct any questions to us. But we don't currently have another one scheduled yet. We'd want to make sure we had enough information that came in to warrant it. So the airport is going to have their press conference here right when we're done, and are going to start addressing that. What I'd say, even with somebody who's supposed to have a flight here soon, is they should only do it when it's safe. And this is a great airport that I've used a lot. I trust their leadership, and I'll look forward to hearing what they have to say. All right, thank you all very much. And again, tough day for Louisville, tough day for Kentucky, tough day for this region. We are strong people. I've seen it time and time again, flooding, tornadoes, shootings. That's the last time I drove here this fast to make sure I got here. We've always banded together. We will again. Let's make sure before anything else, we put the families of those that are lost, the families of those that we're worried about first. They deserve it. Let's make sure we pray for them and we support them with everything we have. Thank you, Kentucky.
And you've just been listening to Governor Andy Beshear giving an update on the fatal UPS plane that crashed at around 5:15 this evening at the Louisville airport. And we do want to let you know that United Way is offering shelter to anyone impacted. You can call 502-376-6617, 376-6617.
3 dead, 11 injured, and some of those serious. So the governor said he expects the death toll to rise in this case. Grade Lane took the brunt of the explosions afterwards. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling took that direct hit, and we're told that there were a lot of people in that facility. They were closing up, and that's people were in the office. That's when they collect their money. That facility takes oil and antifreeze and recycles it. Also, Grade 8 Auto Parts was also one of those structures that was hit directly. So our thoughts and prayers to all of the victims, their families, and we're still going to wait on word about the names of who died. But just a horrible set of circumstances today.
And the airport is expected to give an update on their end as well at about 8:15. So in just a few minutes, hang here with us. The NTSB is in charge of this investigation now and will be on the scene, we're told, here very soon. The governor did point out no specifically hazardous cargo on that plane, but the impact and where this crash happened did cause and spark that shelter in place because there could still be explosions, as he mentioned. He also asked people to stay away from the area, do not go to the crash scene. Several emergency departments were dispatched, including Okolona first on the scene.
He gave a big shout out to
Department.
Okolona, said first one's there to help out.
Yeah, they were there pretty quickly, and then that was followed by departments as far away as Lexington. He mentioned the Lexington Fire Department, but they did also mention that there are other emergencies that are happening as this big emergency is happening, and they have called in other officials who typically have the day off to come in and cover shifts.
Okay, and you see that building right there? That is a UPS facility, and you can see that either the fuselage of the plane or a part of the plane just carved right through that building. That is a UPS building, and then farther on you can see off Grade Lane, that is the Kentucky Petroleum and Recycling. That was the first initial blaze, and just by the name, petroleum in there with all the flammables that they have, that caused some of those additional explosions, plus all of the fuel that was on board that plane.
Yeah, he did mention the 3 fatalities. 3 people are confirmed dead, 11 injuries, but they did also mention that the governor did expect those numbers to grow as the night continues. They're still in that initial phase of fighting the fire and assessing the scene and going door to door to make sure people are okay and going through buildings that have been impacted and cars that have been impacted to make sure there are not people in some of those buildings and cars. They're still working to confirm that some of the businesses that were hit, that people are okay, customers are okay, which it's kind of a chaotic time right now for everybody.
Yeah. Let's go to our Norman Seawright, who has been on scene. Norman, what can you shed? What kind of light can you shed for us on this?
Well, Rick, we are waiting just shortly. We'll be starting to hear from officials here at the Louisville Regional Airport Authority just about where this investigation is starting, where it's going. A lot of questions we still need to have answered, but of course, all of everyone's thoughts right now are with everyone who has been affected by this tragic crash today. You think about an airline, you think about an industry like this, aviation, they very much talk about the souls on board. So when you talk about crew members, you may talk about souls. And this is something that really they internalize all this stuff. I mean, a lot of sources of mine are just distraught about this event today. They want answers just like we do. And as I said, we will be going inside here just shortly, and we will be getting some updates on this investigation, where it starts, where it goes from here, Rick. But that is where we are right now.
Right, live for us. Thank you so much. And again, we want to talk about the shelter in place that's still in effect. Initially, it was 5 miles, and then it was expanded. It's been brought back in a little bit. Jay Cardoso, you've been tracking everything that's been happening as far as the radar goes. You were able to pinpoint exactly when this happened from your radar.
Yeah. I mean, we go back to just after 5 o'clock today. We were talking about the beautiful weather out there. We were talking about, the beautiful fall colors. Had a tower cam shot, and we noticed in the upper left-hand portion of the tower cam shot all of a sudden this huge smoke plume. It's like, what in the world is going on? And sure enough, just a couple of minutes later, the radar lit up, a smoke plume lit up right near the international airport, and it carried its way off to the north. Hence the shelter in place. Here's the very latest I have for you graphically. You can see it from Louisville International up to near Jeffersonville. It still covers a pretty good chunk of real estate for the downtown area of Louisville. Again, we want you to stay inside, shut the windows. The health department is saying that the ACs and the furnaces should stay off until this thing is lifted. As a matter of fact, Jennifer, Rick, we received an email from a viewer in Salem, Indiana, saying that she can now smell the jet fuel all the way up into Salem. I mean, that's 30 miles off to the north, and she's saying it's a pretty stout smell too. So it just goes to show you the wind has really pushed some of those fumes, those odors, if you will, farther and farther off to the north. The good news, guys, is that the plume itself has dissipated. At least I don't have it on radar. It actually dissipated about an hour and a half ago. So hopefully we'll continue to clear out the atmosphere and we can lift this shelter in place in relatively short order. But I have a feeling it's going to be left, if you will, in place for quite some time, just to make sure, as that was one horrific scene. Guys, let's send it back to you.
Yeah, and it's
Thank
still
you, Jen.
burning right now, Jay.
That's right.
It's terrible.
So anything from the outer loop north, all the way even extended. Mike Moore over in Jeffersonville also put a shelter in place. TARC is not working. The airport is virtually shut down. 3 fatalities, 11 people injured. This plane crash, a UPS plane, was headed to Honolulu, attempting to take off when something went wrong. One of the engines caught fire, and it never got off the ground and slammed into Kentucky Petroleum Recycling, and that set off a massive explosion, and then that was followed by subsequent explosion.
The governor just gave us an update, and he said he did not have the statuses of the 3 crew members that were told that were on board. However, he did say that there were 3 deaths involved in this and 11 fatalities, or 11 injured, 3 deaths, and they do expect those numbers to grow. We do want to mention also that the officials mentioned that they may have to knock out the power as they continue to work on this scene. So if your power goes out, you live in this area, don't worry, it'll come back on. This is just a working scene. They're still in the initial assessment phase of this, and they're working to make sure that people are still not needing rescue. They're still unsure. It's the beginning of all of this.
Well, I keep going back to the Givaudan explosion. They did not know that there was the fatality in that situation. There could have been people, like you said, in their cars, in those businesses, leaving those businesses. Also, LMPD on Taylor Boulevard at their training academy has set up a victim reunification. So if one of your loved ones was one of those injured, they have a reunification area set up at the LMPD training facility.
Yeah, we were expecting a update from the airport around 8:15. That has since been moved to 9 o'clock as officials are working to gather more information. This video that you're seeing now was the scene shortly after it happened. This was a very massive scene there. And one of the officials that spoke at the 7:30 press conference described it, I think, in a perfect manner. She said it was a sad and heavy occasion, and this is going to be something that affects a lot of Louisville. UPS is a huge employer here in Louisville. We call ourselves a UPS town, and everybody knows somebody who has either worked at Louisville or does work at UPS or has worked at UPS.
Okay.
It's a huge employer.
Yes, and once again, if we can see that video, if you have that queued up of the plane coming, attempting to take off, coming down the runway. Apparently, it was making enough noise that it alerted one of the workers that was on the side there, and got the phone and recorded as the plane was barreling, here it is, barreling down the runway with one of those engines on fire. I was told that one of the engines actually did fall off, and then shortly after,
Right
boom,
there.
the explosion. and that set off those massive fires that stretches. I might even be short on the estimate. I said a quarter to a third of a mile down the road there. It might even be a half mile, but a lot of businesses involved in that. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling took the biggest hit. Grade A Auto Parts also hit. There's Stooges is also a watering hole for a lot of people.
Right.
It was right in the line of fire, but we were told that everyone in there was okay. We
Yeah,
hope
it's
that is the
Stooges.
case. But
They're still assessing the scene there, and that's another reason why they're asking people to stay away, that there could still be explosions. Hopefully not. We just received word from LMPD. They're asking people, if you are looking for a loved one, to check on their status. Do not go to local hospitals looking for loved ones. Hospitals are not equipped to handle the family reunification part of this during this type of emergency. Instead, LMPD is asking families and friends to report to the family reunification area at the LMPD training facility that is located at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. You'll be able to find out if your loved one that you're looking for is okay or not. They're going to provide a safe and organized environment there for families looking to connect with accurate information. There's a lot of information out there right now, as is typical with this kind of scene.
that is the LMPD Training Academy. It's out by Churchill Downs, if you're not familiar with that area.
And LMPD is also asking people to avoid the area. Grade Lane shut down indefinitely, along with some other roads there along the airport.
Okay, so that sets the stage for us, and it has been a horrible day. And like we were talking about Louisville International before, when it was Stanford Field, relatively quiet. The last accident out there was a UPS plane in
Look at that.
2005.
It
That's how
sliced
far
through
back
that
you have to go.
building like no
And then
problem.
Stanford Field in 1970. But we keep
Man,
getting
that's
reminded.
terrible.
We saw what happened at Reagan National with that big crash there. Remember the plane that crashed up at the Bluegrass Airport. So I mean, when it happens, it's devastating, and our community was devastated today.
Again, NTSB is now in charge of this investigation. The governor says officials from the NTSB will be here on the scene very soon. The governor also pointed out there no specifically hazardous cargo on this UPS plane.
No,
but
Debs,
the
I'm glad
impact
they're
again, where it
okay.
happened, some of the buildings and the areas there, kind of what sparked this shelter in place that's happening right now, which initially was just 5 miles, and again, it's grown. Expanded, and they're trying to bring it in as they contain this scene.
And plus, it may not have been the cargo, but it was loaded. The tank was full. They were heading to Honolulu on this flight. So, some 40,000 gallons of fuel weighing 280,000 pounds. For instance, it might strike you, but fuel is lighter than water. A gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds, but a gallon of that jet fuel.
Rando, this is
6.7,
live. This is
what that weighs.
happening right now in Louisville,
Anything,
Kentucky.
north of the airport, to the
UPS
Ohio River,
plane
South
crash.
Louisville, Old Louisville, downtown, and also including Jeffersonville, as they're seeing some of that smoke there.
No TARC service tonight because of the shelter in place, and the airport is
3 crew
it
members
is shut
on
down,
board,
so flights,
got out
nobody's
alive,
coming in,
and
nobody's leaving
11
tonight as
injured
well.
so
Yeah, they
far.
said the TSA security checkpoint is temporarily closed. Check your status of your flight with your airline. Also, the governor mentioned Ford. LAP was not hit, but they did lose power for a short period of time and had to shelter in place there as well.
Okay, so that's the way we're waiting to hear from the airport to get a further update on. They'll give us the nuts and the bolts on the technicalities of initially what they know of what went wrong with the engine on takeoff and what went wrong with that aircraft, which was a MD-11, McDonnell Douglas MD-11 airplane.
And the UPS did release a statement just a
Hey,
short
D.
time
Johns,
ago,
how are you?
Just to kind of reiterate what
Thank you
happened.
for jumping in.
Approximately 5:20 tonight, a UPS flight 2976 from Louisville, we now know, was headed
Thank
to
you.
Honolulu, Hawaii. You mentioned an MD-11.
You're subscribing. I'll
3
subscribe
crew members
back.
on board involved in the accident in Louisville. They have not confirmed any injuries or casualties at this time, but the governor did confirm that 3 people have passed away in this crash. We're still waiting to confirm any other injuries or fatalities, which the governor did expect those numbers to grow.
And kudos to the Okolona Fire Department. They were close by. They were first on scene. Fairdale's just a little south of that as well. All hands on deck helping Louisville firefighters. They had their hands full tonight with this massive fire. There's a video of the
Debris.
the runway and the
Yeah.
debris, and Chopper Bill was telling us that he could see some of the signs and lights that were set up along the runway were knocked down, indicating to him that that plane, once that engine caught fire, veered off of the runway for some reason. But we'll have to wait till the NTSB completes its full investigation to know exactly what happened.
And Jody Myman with Louisville Metro Emergency Services mentioned that they're monitoring the air right now, as they do with any situation like this, to make sure that it's okay. And they'll continue to do that before they lift that shelter in place, which we expect to last for a while here, as they're still fighting flames there on the scene. This is still what's called the life safety. They were talking about 3 phases when you respond to a situation like this, and they're still in that initial phase, which I think they called life safety, where they make sure that people are okay who may be there at the scene or affected on the scene, checking cars and buildings and making sure people are okay.
We do want to send a heartfelt, just a prayer and the thoughts to the 11 victims that are still fighting for their life. The governor said he expects the death toll to rise in this, and let's hope that is not the case. Let's keep the faith.
Well, he said some of those injuries were very, quote, very significant injuries.
Well, the Kentucky Petroleum took that big hit, but while they're still alive, let's keep, let's hope for the best in this, is what I'm trying to say. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers for the families that are involved tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 businesses. So the main area beyond the crash, 2 businesses, Kentucky Petroleum Recycling, Grade A Auto Parts, and they said that may be some time before they can actually account for everyone, including customers in those businesses. They're still working on that life assessment to make sure everybody's okay. Still a lot to go here.
And that recycling center, they deal in stuff and recycle oil and antifreeze. And so, anytime you have a petroleum product, the fire officials, they're dealing with not just a structural fire, they're dealing with
Right, John's 2 hours away.
petroleum that's burning.
Make
So it's
sure,
a whole
you know,
different animal, but look at the
you don't start
fire
smelling
now that stretches,
jet fuel.
To give you a
mile,
gauge,
third of a mile.
yeah, just how big this response was, they said they had every single emergency response department on scene: Louisville, Lexington, Fern Creek, PRP, Fairdale, J-Town, Airport, Fire and Police, LMPD, the Sheriff, Shively, EMS, MSD, LG&E. I'm sure I'm missing some, but this was kind of a statewide response here.
Somebody
This
in
massive
Indiana,
event.
30 miles away or
feel
something
good
like
They
that?
were all of us come together, and
We're
what a
smelling
year.
it.
I mean,
30
you
miles
had the
away.
tornadoes, and
Yeah.
they had the flooding. I mean, those were natural disasters, and then Governor Beshear's dealing with another tragedy, and we hope to hear from Mayor Greenberg. He was out of town. Once he gets back into town, his heart is pumping 100 miles a minute.
I said he'll be back around 9.
He'll be back at
Tonight,
9. We'll hear
around
from
9
him and
o'clock.
get an update from him on the situation. We're still waiting from the airport to hear from them.
And also United Way offering shelter to anyone impacted by what's happened here. You can call 502-376-6617. TARC services suspended indefinitely. We'll let you know when that's back up and running.
Yeah,
And
right.
shelter in
That's
place
it.
still
Salem,
in
Indiana.
place. Everything north of the airport there.
North of the
And
airport.
Jeffersonville.
Somebody called in and said they could smell it.
Jay, that
plane
shelter
fuel.
in place north of Louisville, Old
Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah, I've been monitoring everything too. I have no new information on that, but I'm watching everything like a hawk. The shelter in place is still the same. The international airport up to the Ohio River to near Jeffersonville, technically, but as I talked about, we're getting emails and notifications from people even farther north, 20, 30 miles north that they're starting to get the fumes in those areas. One example is Salem. Had an email from a viewer up there saying, and it's a pretty stout smell too. So, and the reason why, well, the wind. It is starting to pick up. It is now coming in from the south. It's been relatively light for much of the day, but we have a storm system on the way for later tomorrow. It's a cold front. It's going to come through quiet tomorrow night, but out ahead of it, the wind is starting to increase in all depths of the atmosphere as we move deeper into the night. So these south winds that have been very light for the better part of the day, the afternoon, will start to increase. So hopefully the officials out there, the firefighters, we can continue to, contain all of this mess, if you will, and get things under control before those winds start to pick up. And that should happen a little bit later on tonight. In earnest after midnight, and we're talking about some gusty winds as we push into and through tomorrow from the south and
Man, I just want to say something. Remember, Debs, remember the Canadian fires, the fire in Canada? That reached us down here in Monroe County. That was crazy. It went far as New York City. That's how bad that was. That's crazy how smoke travels like that.
has been lifted, which hopefully that will happen a little bit later on tonight. Guys, let's send it back.
Thanks, Jay. Well, Governor Beshear gave us an update about an hour ago. Let's recap that and play Governor Beshear's address to the Commonwealth.
At approximately 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, UPS Flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in a catastrophic crash here in Louisville adjacent to our airport. UPS will be releasing more facts as available. The National Transportation Safety Board will be in charge of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it.
All right.
That was Governor Beshear, and we're waiting for for the Mayor
Airport
Greenberg
officials.
to come back out here and the officials from the airport to give us an update on this. So let's reset and tell you, in case you're just joining us, at 5:14 today, that plane, that UPS plane, Flight 2976, was attempting to take off headed to Honolulu.
Yeah, that's about an 8-hour and 38-minute flight for that plane. It was full of fuel. Something happened. You can see it right here in this video from a ground crew member who shot this video. You can see the initial crash right here, an explosion. Something happened as this plane was taking off and caused it to crash. And it also crashed into 2 buildings, according to the governor. That was UPS Flight 2976 that crashed around 5:15 today. That's a McDonnell Douglas MD-11, again, headed to Honolulu. UPS confirmed
Remember,
there were
the sky was
crew
red.
members on board, but we have
It
not
was
been able
crazy.
to confirm
You could
the
barely
status of
see the
those crew
sun.
members. However, the governor did confirm there are 3 fatalities and 11 injuries, some of those severe injuries, and are being treated at University Hospital.
Well, we talked about the fuel. It had close to 40,000 gallons of fuel on aboard, plus it hit that petroleum recycling center. And that set off the massive explosions, and Grade A Auto Parts was another facility that was hit. Here's a map of the businesses. Okay, so there's Grade A in the bottom, petroleum, and then the West Runway. You saw part of the one of the, I guess we call it a hangar at UPS Worldport, had a lot of damage to it, like the fuselage must have slammed into that building or a wing or something. But that's Grade Lane is where all of this damage is done, spread out there. The plane was headed south on the runway, so it was headed south out towards Okolona, Fairdale area. And so we're talking about Grade Lane, Fern Valley Road area, and 65, as you can see, is just close by.
And Grade Lane shut down indefinitely. And the governor pointed out no hazardous cargo was on board that UPS plane, but the impact where it crashed, the buildings and businesses affected are what sparked that shelter in place and some of those hazardous conditions. A lot of emergency departments from all over the state and city responded to this as far away as Lexington. Again, 3 fatalities, 11 injuries. The governor described some very significant injuries, and he unfortunately expects those numbers to grow as they're in that initial life-saving phase of searching for anybody else who may be involved in this incident.
And we've heard a lot of people talking about the UPS family, and you know.
Hey, Johns, thank
they're
you so
weaving
much
into the
for
fabric
that.
here
I
in our
appreciate
community.
that.
You no doubt know someone that is directly involved with UPS, a pilot or whatever. Let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers. There is a victim reunification site set up. It's at the LMPD training facility on Taylor Boulevard, 2911 Taylor Boulevard. Victim Services Unit and chaplains will be present there.
And Madison Elliott is there live now at that victim reunification area there at LMPD's training facility. Madison, what can you tell us about families who are there?
Hey, Rick and Jennifer. So we've seen some people coming in and out of the building. This is where LMPD is asking people to come. They are asking people to not go to local hospitals seeking your loved ones. That's because they say hospitals are not equipped to handle family reunification during this type of emergencies. And they're asking families to please report here. The training facility, we're at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. This is also the South Louisville Government Center here as well. And we've seen some people coming in and out. We haven't seen a lot of people just yet as we've been waiting outside the center. We are not allowed inside, so we are staying outside, hoping to get more information, but we do know currently right now this is where police are asking people to come, and we'll continue to stay here and bring you the very latest just on what families are experiencing tonight. Just a terrifying time, and our hearts really go out to all the families who are dealing with finding out loved ones may be injured or having trouble getting in contact with loved ones. So this would be a good place to come if you have not heard from a family member yet who you think could have been involved. This is where LMPD is asking people to come right now, and there are a lot of officers here and other people here who can help get some answers for you. But again, they're asking, do not go to the local hospitals as they are not equipped to handle family reunification during this type of emergency. Rick, Jennifer, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, this is okay. Madison Elliott live for us. Thank you so much. This is a terrible time for anybody who may be wondering where their loved one is, who may have been working or traveling in that area. I know I have a friend who husband is a pilot for UPS, said he was taking off around the same time, and it took some time for her to get a hold of that, of her husband. And I can't imagine what families and friends are going through right now in this terrible, difficult time.
You see some of the debris that's along the runway. Chopper Bill told us that he saw signs that the plane as it was barreling down the runway, trying to take off. Now, in addition to the fire in one of the engines, it was probably caused, but the plane was veered off of the runway, probably as a result of that fire in that engine. And that is the end result there. 3 fatalities, 11 injured, some very serious. And the governor said that, and let's hope that it doesn't happen, but he expects more fatalities to be announced.
And let's check in with DeAndrea Turner, who has been at University Hospital there for the latest on some of the people who may be being treated there. DeAndrea.
Hi, you guys. Yeah, I was at the hospital earlier today where they have a code yellow in effect, which means they are ready for disaster, and they have received some of those patients. I actually just left the governor's press conference, who, again, you guys have told everyone that unfortunately there have been 3 fatalities and 11 injuries, and the governor says that he is expecting more. This is a really heartbreaking time for our city, but one of the things that he really honed in on is how strong Louisville is and how strong Kentucky is and how we're really really going to process this and get through this together. And again, crews are saying they're still in life-saving phases, doing everything to help those who are injured, making sure they're going door to door, knocking on people's homes, going through the businesses to ensure that they get people to safety. The plane was carrying 250,000 gallons of jet fuel, and no hazardous cargo was on board, but the location that the crash created dangerous conditions, including several explosions early on. Some of the officials say that because of those explosions, they couldn't get into the facility at first, but now they've been able to get inside. But that's the reason why this shelter in place is in effect, because it's not just for the sake of having a shelter in place in effect. It's really for everyone's safety. So if you are in that 5-mile radius, please stay inside. They are urging you to do that. Again, they have made headway on this fire, but they say that this is going to be an active scene for several days. The NTBS will lead this investigation moving forward. And again, if you live in this area, if you're in this area right now, please stay inside of your home. It is for your safety. There is a family reunification area, like Madison said, and people at the hospital, they are there, they're ready, they're in code yellow. And this is just going to be a tragic next couple of days for the city. But again, the governor said that we're going to make it and we're going to be strong.
Absolutely. All right. So once again, that plane carrying 250,000 pounds of fuel, that's equivalent of 41,000 gallons of fuel today. It was getting ready to take off and had a long flight ahead of it to Honolulu.
Yeah, it was full of fuel, which was part of the reason that we saw that massive scene there, an explosion, multiple explosions people were saying they heard after all of this happened. The main area hit there at the airport included 2 businesses, Kentucky Petroleum Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts. And officials were saying it may still be some time before they can account for everybody involved in both of those businesses. And they're still in that initial phase of responding to this scene.
UPS, one of its buildings, had significant damage, and we also saw a lot of trailers, a lot of semi-trailers that were in a big parking lot. So trucking companies, a lot of industrial stuff there, and that whole stretch there on Grade Lane.
It's crazy. That's like a
devastated. That's Grade Lane and including
25
around the airport on the
block,
south side of it. It
25 by 25 block area that's
right
just
there, Grade Lane,
devastated.
Crittenden Drive. Then you go up a little bit and it's Fern Valley.
A huge area destroyed.
Impacted by this. However, officials did say that they did lose power for a bit, and they did have to shelter in place there for some time. And we do know that LG&E has responded to this scene, and the governor said they may have to knock out power to folks who are around this airport area for some time, but it'll come back on as they work to respond to this scene here.
Well, you mentioned that you said you had a friend that had some pilots that were taking off about that same time. There were some folks that we talked to that were from Boston that were flying to Louisville, and let's hear what they had to say and what they saw.
All we saw was the passenger in front of us. Yeah. Because they kept on saying, hold off, hold off, hold off. And then we said, what's all that smoke, And we noticed the smoke coming in the sky.
We could see it through our windows of the plane.
And then someone posted it from another airplane on Instagram. So we saw it. It was pretty
we saw it
crazy.
online. People started checking their phones.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's
the
looking
news was
at their
starting
phones.
to cover it.
Yeah, we were in the runway.
Yeah, we had just pulled away from the gate on the tarmac. And obviously there was a ground stoppage, airport shut down. We were notified by the pilot. He was great, actually, in terms of communicating to us. And then he just said we have to wait a period of time, and they were going to deplane, pull back into the gate, and get off the plane.
How long?
Okay.
I can imagine being on a plane watching all of this unfold, but
check your nerves for sure.
So this shelter in place is still in place. Anything north of the airport to the Ohio River, South Louisville, Old Louisville, downtown Jeffersonville. The governor did note there's nothing hazardous on the UPS cargo plane itself, but it didn't crash into and involve several other businesses who could potentially have some hazardous problems there. So continue to shelter in place if you live around the Louisville airport.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I so much appreciate it. It's a sad situation, but I just wanted to put it out there what was going on with this live coverage about this plane crash. prayers for all those involved and prayers for the, first responders. Keep them safe while they're doing their job. I'll talk to you guys soon. I got some chores to do. All right, Debs. I hope you, are doing great and hope to see you soon. That's good news, DeJohns. That is good news that, Kentucky's doing okay. Your friend there. Yeah, DeJohns, when you get a chance, jump inside the cave. It's usually in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. I play music, all kinds, A to Z, whatever. I just subbed to you, by the way, so jump in when you get a chance. All right, have a good night, everybody. Peace and blessings.